All right, good Friday morning. Today's Friday, May 9th, 2025, and this is your Friday safety meeting. My name is Dennis Davis. I work in the safety department here at Prime. With me, I've got David White, also in the safety department at Prime. Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Dennis.
All right, you ready to do this?
Another beautiful day here in Springfield, and temperatures are rising. We're getting closer to that summertime they're talking about this weekend and into next. Can't wait for that, man.
Still a little bit of rain going around in most parts of the country, so, just be mindful of that. Hey, we do this 52 Fridays a year, maybe 51 Fridays a year this year. 4th of July is going to fall on a Friday. I'm not going to be here, but we'll make sure that you're on the calendar to make sure you're here at work.
We're always here, Dennis.
That's right.
One way or another, we're always here.
That's right. So we are live here in Springfield, Missouri, and we are simulcasting live to our other terminals in Pittston, Pennsylvania, and Salt Lake City, Utah. We'll go to those folks here in just a moment. And of course, we are live across social media networks, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate all of our current drivers tuning in. We appreciate folks that are interested in coming to the company and doing some research, tuning in. We probably got some customers out there tuning in. Probably got some other folks out in the industry, whether it's insurance, whether it's, whatever the case may be. They're tuning in. They're seeing about what we do here at Prime and kind of get a bird's eye view of what we're doing here. So
the other day I found out my kid tunes in sometimes during school. He's in high school. I don't think they're supposed to be doing that, are they, Dennis? I don't know. He's like,
Seems like
every once in a while we watch your Friday morning meeting.
It's educational.
It is. I guess it is.
I'm
I guess
okay
it
with
me
it.
a little bit though.
Well, good deal. All right, so we're going to jump into our first speaker right away. Who do we got going on?
Man, May is Mental Health Wellness Month. If I said that right, I believe. And this morning, man, that's why we love starting out our meetings with our driver health and fitness group, Rachel and Colby. So good morning, guys, and welcome.
Hey, good morning. Thank you. Yes, Dave. So it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes. So wellness we can throw in there too. So good morning, everybody. So like every Friday, I know we never take it lightly. We love bringing you guys some tips and things like that. And obviously this month was being Mental Health Awareness Month. Every Friday we want to bring up something. So different ways we want to talk about other ways to help manage it. This week we have I think this is a really fun one. It really fits in your basket, of course, right? So Rachel, our dietitian, sorry to introduce you, I guess. But what is it? So this month we're talking about what? Or this week we're talking about what?
Yeah, so this week we're talking about kind of like a mental health, like grocery list, if you will. So different foods that actually help improve mental health. So we've actually got a little kind of a summary of some different categories of what those are. But one of the biggies is B vitamins. So B vitamins, folate, those are super important for mental health. It's actually been shown that if you don't have enough B vitamins, you start to lose brain cells. So that's a big issue. Another big one is and sorry, I should say the foods that those come from. So a lot of your leafy greens. So sorry if you don't like rabbit food, but your leafy greens like spinach, kale, lettuce. There's a bunch of great fruits as well, like citrus fruits that have B vitamins, so not just the leafies. Also your minerals, so iron, magnesium, zinc. So red meat, things like nuts and seeds are really high in magnesium and zinc as well. Avocado, anyone likes that?
So and that's you're talking about those. We always talk about a lot of drivers. The hard thing is like leafy greens and stuff to keep them on the truck, right? So, but let's say for instance,
you can do the citrus fruits instead.
Awesome. Okay, so that's what to say. That instance, but also, what if I just don't like eating? I don't like eating them. I don't like eating a salad. Is there other ways to get the vegetables and leafy greens in my stuff?
Well, we definitely have a lot of drivers who are a fan of doing smoothies. So you can hide your veggies in smoothies. So if you go to the driver health and fitness site, we have a bunch of great recipes that kind of go through that. What to put in your smoothie to actually hide it so that it tastes like the other stuff and that you're not tasting the veggies. And then a couple other things. So, did we hit on the
I've got my list over there too. Let me grab it. Oh, there it is right there. Boom. Thank you,
thank you. Oh, yeah. Omega-3s. Almost forgot that. So anyone a fan of like salmon or tuna or sardines, anything like that?
Sardines, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, omega-3 fats are very
it's up on the board now.
anti-inflammatory
Thanks,
fat.
Dennis.
They are super, super important for brain health. So any way that you can get that in. Another one, kind of its own little category, is polyphenols. So a lot of times this is from the colors that are in the foods. A couple that are really, really rich in these are green tea and olive oil. Different teas in general are usually pretty rich in polyphenols. Berries are a really, really high polyphenol food. So they are a great way to get those colors, have brain benefits.
So those are all. So a lot of those things are like you're talking about the leafy greens, avocado, things like that. And even though they're probiotics, like those are things. Obviously, we talk about things that are significant the drivers can have access to. But let's talk about omega-3s for a second. Like fishes, that's awesome. But what if I can't keep fresh fish? Is it?
Well, yeah, you don't have to do fresh fish. Like
Right.
if you go in the rice and bean aisle at Walmart, for example, you'll see like the pre-packaged fish. Sometimes they'll have smoked varieties too. So like, yeah, the
So that's just as
pre-packaged.
good, right? Having that from a package.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, just as good. It has all of the same healthy fats. It has healthy proteins too. So it's a great way to
awesome.
get your healthy brain food. So, and another thing that is really important with all of these foods is that these all help to create neurotransmitters. So they help to keep our brain functioning well because they're creating those neurotransmitters that help our brain to have that good communication. So yeah, that's kind of
I
the
love
gist
that.
of it today. So good mood foods.
I love it. So the other thing about this real quick is I teased it last Friday. We talked about it this week. We are leading up to Memorial Day. We are doing our Get Fit Never Forget challenge. So it's literally drivers versus in-house. This one we've done, it's on our website, driverhealthfitness.com. It's literally just doing push-ups, sit-ups, and squats and miles traveled, drivers versus in-house. I looked this morning. We had drivers, our drivers combined, connected, added up, was close to like 900 push-ups, close to 1,000 sit-ups. In-house, more like 100 to 200. So in-house, we got to get moving. But I love it that we're moving that way. So keep an eye on that. Go to our website. Also, that's where Rachel talked about our recipes and things on there. We've got all those things. But anybody got any questions right now or anything? Yeah, we got one back here. Hold on. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, you guys were talking about the omegas. Eggs are superfood. They
Yeah.
contain those, and
And if
they're
you can
everywhere
get-
in the truck stops. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you guys can grab them.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a good one.
Perfect.
Eggs.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Well,
Thank
anybody
you,
else?
guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Polyphenols. You ever heard that before, Dennis?
I have.
Man, you're on it. I have not.
You know,
I do like berries though, so that's a positive.
went to the doctor recently. He said I needed to eat more cereals. So whatever that is.
Cereal.
Whatever that is, need to get more of those in my system. So, you know, thank you, Kobe. Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate you guys being here and kicking our meetings off every week as usual. You know, the health and wellness of the folks, the living, breathing folks inside the truck is really so important.
It is, no doubt. And your health, that's what makes a safe driver. That's part of it. Healthy person is more healthy, safe driver out there on the roadways. And that's what we're always looking for. No, it's tough, man. Tough being out on the road and the truck stops and the food choices, but I think they have gotten better throughout the years. And but it's just the choices you make.
You know, and we've really invested, when I say we, I mean Prime Incorporated has really invested into the health and wellness of our drivers. You know, we have a whole department dedicated to it. If you go down, you know, in the lower level here of this Millennium building, you've got a sleep lab, you've got a medical clinic, and you've got a chiropractor right there to get you taken care of.
Yeah, they do, and they do a wonderful job. I've been to all three of them, and they're here to support us and to support our drivers because that's what this is about. Our driver base is what makes this company. So,
good deal. So earlier I mentioned we are simulcasting live to our other terminals. So we're going to take a few minutes to go to those other terminals now. We'll start east first with Pittston, Pennsylvania. We'll say good morning to Rick Ifford and Richard Brock. Good morning, folks.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, the weather up here is we're dealing with that rain that you were talking about earlier. It's just been heavy rain all day, all night. So we're looking at some flooded areas. So if you're driving around here, just be careful with those areas. Other than that, Richard's got some talking to do. So
good morning. You know, I've actually got James Sherman here with me this morning, and we're going to talk about instructing just a little bit. And, James has been with us for how many years now, James?
I've been with Prime for a little over 14 years.
So 14 years. and you've trained how many people? If we had to guess, and you may not know the number off the top of your head, but I know in the last year and a half, you've trained probably close to 100, right?
Yeah.
So James is very active in this, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the benefits of instructing. And we've had some pay changes that have taken place over the last couple of years here. In the last year here, we've had a big change, and one of those changes is paid on the PSD side. So for those of you that are interested in being PSD instructors, the pay for a lease operator is going to be $500 when you pick up a PSD, and then it's when you test that PSD out, it's going to be $2,500. If you are on the company side, it's going to be $500 when you pick up that PSD, and it's going to be $1,500 when you test them out. So we have seen an increase in lease operators that continue to get involved. That helps with placing the students and getting them out on the road and getting that over the road experience and one-on-one experience. And James has been a guy that's been down at the pad, and he's always building the culture down there, and he's cooking for people. And why do you do that, James?
Just to, one, bring everybody together. It helps build camaraderie. Also, it gives us a chance to exchange ideas and talk about different methods that we each use.
That's awesome. So what got you involved in training? How did that process happen?
Well, getting involved just years ago, my fleet manager asked me to do it. I started doing it.
Let's do it.
I enjoy it. We'll get started. Going into PSD full time, it was about 2 years ago. There was a need for more people to do PSDs, so I kind of got pushed into that a little bit. Once I started doing it more, I started enjoying it more, and it's enjoyable to me to be able to pass on what I know.
Well, we appreciate what you do, and thanks for all you've done here.
Thank you.
I want to talk just a second about the requirements to be an instructor. So if you're wanting to be an instructor, let's talk about what do you need to do. Well, the first thing you would do is let's talk to our fleet manager. Let's find out if we're qualified. In order to be qualified as a PSD instructor, you're going to need 2 years of over-the-road experience, and that's a federal requirement. As a TNT trainer, you're going to need 6 months over-the-road experience, and for both of those, you also have to have at least 60 days as a lead seat here at Prime. So meaning you are the one running that truck. We're also going to take a look at your logs, make sure that there's no training events there, and safety is going to take a look over your accidents and incidents and camera events to ensure that we don't see any trends on that side either. We also will be looking at your net fuel costs. So if you're on the lease side, you want to make sure that your net fuel cost is no more than 15 cents per mile. And aside from that, I would encourage you guys to do it. It's a great opportunity to help somebody else out. I will tell you, I came to Prime and I went through our PSD program and went out there on the road with a driver, and he trained me up. And I will tell you, there's a respect that you're going to have for somebody that gets you a CDL, but that opportunity to give back to somebody else is huge. And I would encourage you guys to do that, even if it's just one. Help one other person out. Somebody took a chance on you, take a chance on somebody else. That's all I've got, guys.
Hey, Richard, quick question. Did you pass your test the first time out of the box there for your CDL?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Did you pass your test the first time for testing the road test for the CDL?
I passing the drug test for sure. Yes, I passed on the first time and every time, but I did pass on the CDL test as well. I had Eric Zimney was my examiner at that time, and Danny Gibbons was my PSD instructor.
All right, good deal. Yeah, I've got a question down here for you though. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Richard, you were talking about it's 500 for whenever you pick up the student and 1,500 for company drivers, 2,500 for the lease operators. How about if they already come in with their CDL, but no experience and they're going through the PSD program?
That is a great question. I didn't cover that one because it's not usually as common. So there is going to be a pay difference on that, and that's going to be $1,500 on that side. Thank you for asking that question.
And is that just a flat 1,500?
It is. So basically what's happening is you're not getting the $500 on the pickup.
And I'm not getting the extra $1,000 being a lease operator whenever they evaluate out, correct?
That's right.
So is there really any need for lease operators, owner operators to do CDLA holders?
Yes, I would encourage them to do it. You know, what we try to do is when these individuals come in with a Class A CDL and they're getting ready to go out there, we try to place them with lease operators if possible, because it is a little shorter turnaround and it gets them into that TNT phase, especially if it's going to be someone that's going to take them into the TNT phase. So, and that doesn't always work that way. There's a lot of variables. It's kind of a loaded question, but you know, we try to work it out as best we can with that big puzzle we got going on.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you, Daniel, for the questions. You guys have a good weekend. Appreciate you. If you have any questions, man, let us know.
All right. Appreciate Rick. Appreciate it, Richard. We're going to go west to Salt Lake City. Good morning. I think we got Jonathan Grice.
You sure do. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Good deal. I appreciate Richard talking about the instructor program. You know, that's one of the notes I had this morning as well, specific to the Salt Lake City terminal. You know, we've got a really good core of instructors out here, and we're looking to grow that as much as we can. You know, it's particularly become pretty needed and necessary with our growth and volume of freight out here. So, you know, as we're starting to develop more and more drivers through our orientation process, you know, we definitely could build that pool of instructors and trainers. You know, California, Idaho, the Pacific Northwest, they tend to be our most booked areas this time of year with berries and stuff like that. So, you know, the more teams and instructors and TNT trainers we can get, the better. You know, kind of along those lines for TNTs, you know, we ran the profit summaries again this week. You know, for the independent contractor side, there's about a $1,430 delta there between, you know, solos and teams. On the company side, it's just shy of $1,100. So definitely something to consider, you know, as you guys become closer to your qualifications that Richard was talking about. So definitely please give it to some consideration and talk to your fleet manager about it. The next thing I want to talk about is cargo claim prevention. I know we've spoken on it pretty regularly the last few weeks, but I definitely want to address it again. I really want you guys to make sure you're doing pre-trip inspections on the trailers. Make sure there's obviously that it's clean, make sure the reefer's running properly. It's super, super important we're proactive with getting those things addressed rather than getting to a shipper and then finding out we have a problem at that point. So please make sure you're thorough with those inspections and make sure everything's in good working order. As you're getting loaded, once you get your bills back, make sure that everything matches up. There's no discrepancies on, you know, your piece counts, the temperature, the destination on where you're going to. It's obviously very important we catch those things before we depart. So we want to scrutinize those things, make sure they're accurate before we take off. Another thing, obviously, too, it's starting to get a little bit warmer. You know, the summer is not too far away. Our reefer unit's going to be working significantly harder than they were 3-4 months ago. So we're going to see a few more alarms. We're going to see a few more shutdowns, stuff like that. So it's very important that you guys are consistently checking those things to make sure that everything remains in temp and we avoid those cargo claims. The biggest piece to cargo claim prevention, obviously, is safety. We can do all of those things right, you know, but if we get in a bad accident, that wipes out everything we've already done. So obviously, again, please make sure you get plenty of rest. You know, if the conditions aren't favorable for you guys, make sure you shut it down. Just make sure you communicate any sort of issues that you may have. Other than that, happy Mother's Day to all of our females, all of our drivers out there working on the road. I appreciate all you guys do.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns out in Salt Lake City, don't hesitate to jump on the microphone. All right, right back here, Springfield, Missouri. Good morning, folks. How are you guys here in Springfield? All right, appreciate you guys being here with us this morning on this Mother's Day weekend. So, you know, happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers, our mother figures, our meemaws, our mamaws, our aunties, folks, a part of our villages that help us become the great men and women that we are today.
Yes, special holiday there. Moms have a special place in, I know, my heart, and I miss mine, but man, make sure you love them and hang on to them because, you know, we're not here forever. And, you know, these holidays can get a little emotional at times. We're talking mental health, and that's one of them. And so But yeah, it's good memories, good people. And that's who raised us, majority of us. So that's how it goes, man.
Absolutely. So if you are home for Mother's Day, spending time with your mother, your significant other, whoever the case may be, make sure that you're of course securing your equipment, making sure that you communicating with your fleet manager on what your plans of going in the house and coming out are.
Yes, very important. So tell you what, let's recognize some people here, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, man. So everybody, this is your first week of orientation at all three terminals. This is your new AC, BC, CC, DC. That doesn't matter. If you could all rise, we'd love to give you a round of applause and welcome to our family. Stand on up, man.
Appreciate you making the decision to come to Prime. We know you had options to either further or start your trucking career. I firmly believe that this is a destination company. Of course, Dave and I are biased, but when we go and we look at other companies and we evaluate some of the information that we see and some of the information that we kind of have to take, however we get it, this is the best deal around. I don't know that there's a better deal. There may be somebody with some slightly better equipment, but not a ton of folks. There may be some folks with some slightly better technology, but not a lot of folks. There may be some folks that are maybe closer to your house, okay. But, all in all, this is the best deal around.
And if you're new here and you're training, this is the best training you're going to get. Back in 1995 is when I got my CDL. And it was nothing like we do here at Prime. It was 2 weeks in a truck out on a dirt lot trying to learn how to back on my own. And yeah, there was a guy out there saying, hey, you're getting close, and finally they let me take the test. And next thing you know, I was in a truck for about a week and a half, 2 weeks with a trainer. And then all of a sudden, here's the keys to the truck. And I was like, really? I hadn't been through a lot of big cities and all that. I was nervous, man, big time. But you guys are going to get the deal. You're going to meet our customers. You're going to be in a truck long enough. You're going to be going through a lot of big cities, what to do, what not to do. Have a lot of advice given to you. Be listening. God gave you 2 ears for one reason and one mouth. And so listen more than what you talk. If you got questions, bring them up. That's fine. That's what we want. Not everybody catches on at the same pace. Not everybody learns at the same pace. Took me a long time to learn how to back till my trainer said, hey, instead of looking at the side of the trailer, look at those wheels, where those wheels are going on the trailer. That'll help you get it into the dock straighter and all that. Because, man, there's times I back up and the guy's sitting there wanting to unload me. He goes, man, you got to get that thing straighter. Pull it out and do it again. I'd be like, and it's frustrating sometimes. But that's what our trainers are there for. Make you guys better, make your experience better. Learn better and working with the customers and enforcement. And we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But no, welcome to everybody and glad you're here.
Hey, Dave, 1995 was a long time ago. That was my sophomore year in high school, believe it or not.
And now you're really making me feel old.
Mitch over here, I don't think Mitch was born in 1995. So that was a long time ago. But we appreciate you guys being here too. And, speaking of which, we've got some familiar faces. I won't call you old, Dave, but just some folks that have been around here, a long time. And it's good always to see you folks here. Hopefully we can get you taken care of on whatever you're here for, whether it's a shop or just stopping by for some amenities. Get you taken care of as soon as we can and get you out of here. So, hey, let's do something here real quick. Speaking of folks that have been here for a long time, any drivers been here for more than 20 years? Stand up. Let's recognize you. Stand up. More than 20 years. Good job. Appreciate it. Hey, right here in the front. You come on up here. Let's talk to you. Come on up.
Who's this guy?
Well, let's find out.
There we go, man. So a couple of weeks ago, Dennis, we were fortunate. We got to go to Louisville, Kentucky to American Trucking Association Safety Conference. And the old Thomas Miller here was awarded ATA Driver of the Year. So give him a big round of applause. Now Thomas has won a few things before in the past, just a couple, right? No, but you've been TCA TCA Driver of the Year, Missouri Trucking Association Driver of the Year twice. Yes. Been on many truck driving championship teams. I know ever since I've been involved in it, you've been on the team.
This next month will be my 22nd year.
That's awesome, man. Great having you. And I know you kind of run our team. So how do you make it happen? How do you do all this stuff? And what's some advice you can give our younger drivers too?
I hope my wife isn't watching right now, because if so, she'll hit me just as soon as I get home. I just go out there and do my job. You know, every one of our jobs is to go out there, pick up the freight, deliver it on time, deliver it safely, you know, and just do the right thing. You know, and that's honestly all I've done. You know, there's been a few things I've gotten involved in with the truck driving championships. That's what got it all started for me, was the truck driving championships, and then everything just kind of dominoed. You know, I got picked to do this, got offered to do that, invited. There's a lot of luck involved, a whole lot of being in the right place at the right time. I was a finalist with 4 other gentlemen for this particular award, and I called Dave a couple weeks before whenever I read the list and read their bios, and I'm like, well, we're just going to go down and, you know, have a couple of drinks and dinner, because I didn't think I could beat them. I really didn't. And it's just, you know, right place, the right time. I was doing the right things. But, you know, the biggest thing, and I told myself, you called me up here today, which this wasn't planned, y'all, but, you know, what I was going to tell everybody, you know, being around as long as I have, because I did get my CDL 2 years before this guy did. So now I just told on how old I am.
There you go.
But I've been here at Prime for 26 years, and there is only one thing that you can count on being consistent in the trucking industry, and that is change. That is the only thing that's consistent in this whole industry, is wait till tomorrow, because something's going to change. You know, our customer base, Steve's in there smiling and shaking his head at me. Our customer base changes. You know, our vendors change, you know, all the way down the line. Our trucks change, technology changes, you know, and there's going to be some stuff that you don't like. There's some stuff that I don't like. But I'm not going to sit there. I believe it was Dwight Eisenhower. I used a quote one time from him. You know, he says, only a fool will lie down on the lay down on the tracks of the past to get ran over by the train of the future. You know, and what that means is you got to adapt and roll with it. You know, gosh, ELDs. I didn't want them.
There you go.
But I'm using them. You know, I would love to have a 10-speed truck again, but I got an automatic, and I've gotten pretty good.
You just hate it, don't you? No.
I like my automatic, but I got to tell you, there is some days that I do miss reaching over there and grabbing a gear shift. I mean, it's there. Yeah. You know, the latest big thing is cameras. You know, there's not a lot of people likes the cameras, but the cameras are doing their job. You know, I'm one of them. I don't care for it. I don't think anybody really likes it. I was like, but it does its job. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And it is what it is. And they're here to stay. I mean,
it protects you as a driver.
Yeah. And they're here to stay. So there's no sense in getting all upset about it, because they're not going away. And if you leave Prime and go someplace else that doesn't have a camera, guarantee you within 5 years, they're going to have a camera too, and you're going to be looking for a job again. You know, so it's just, you're just going to keep on rolling and rolling and rolling. So.
And next week you got the 72-hour blitz. Are you going to head home and sit at home with the Misty for the 3 days?
I absolutely am. I'm going to be home the morning of the 12th, and I'm coming back to work on the 6th.
You're not the answer.
No, I'll be out there rolling. But I got a trailer right now being worked on. You know, I'm going to be good to go there. My truck goes in the shop here in about an hour. You know, so I'm going to be ready for it. So.
Good deal. What do you do to prepare?
Just get all your duckies in a row. Make sure your equipment's up to snuff. You know, your logs. Quite honestly, there's really not any reason for us to be having problems with logs. I mean, it's all electronic. I mean, you only got to hit a button every once in a while. You know, so, but make sure your logs are in order. Make sure your permits are in order, and just be ready for it.
Well, it's been great seeing you grow in this company, because I remember the day, and I don't know if you remember this trip, but the first time Don Lacey sent us down to Marionville, Missouri to speak to a driver's ed class. And that was your first one. He goes, Dave, I want you to take Thomas down there, take a truck, get the driver's ed class outside. And so we set that up. And then you did a few more here in Springfield, got your feet wet, and started taking off on your own, man. And you did a wonderful job for us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time and a lot of fun.
And now you're on America's Road Team as well. You've been on that for a number of years, and you do, heck, man, you go to capitals, you talk to legislators, you talk to senators, you talk the big wigs that can really change a difference. And that's
I still like to do the share the road events with the kids and the public and stuff like that. I let Dee go back there. I let her go talk to the congressman and stuff like that. She's more comfortable talking to them folks than I am. So.
No, but anyway, Thomas, thank you for coming up this morning, and we really appreciate you, and congratulations on your award, man. That was,
Thanks, man. I
that's
appreciate it.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Driven by the best.
That's it.
You know, by no means are we perfect, or are we pretending that our drivers are perfect. But Thomas is just a one example of the type of drivers and the type of people that we have working with us here at Prime. So,
All right, man. So let's keep it going. Let's get some new speakers up here. Who do we got next?
all right, let's go maintenance. We talked about
Yep.
keeping yourself healthy. You know, Thomas talked about what you can do to keep safe. Let's get Doug Tame and Ron Thompson up here to talk about maintenance.
Let's talk about some tires there, Dougie. You got 72-hour blitz coming.
72-hour blitz. Man, that sounds scary, doesn't it? Good morning. My name's Doug Tam. I work in tires, the plaza, and road assist. So if you need a hand, I'll be over here on the side to discuss that. But today I want to talk about a few. I also have a special guest today, so I don't want to. You guys will be excited over this one. So, you know, a couple of the things we see in the plaza as you guys come through. You know, we always do a courtesy inspection on your vehicle. So I would encourage you. I know sometimes the wait can be a little long. You know, we don't like waiting in line, but when you get in there, we take care of you. You know, we're going to do a courtesy inspection on your tires to make sure the only thing touching the road is safe, right? Make sure you don't have any exposed belts anywhere. I got a few pictures, you know, some of the common things that I see that drivers just don't realize, and we find a lot of it in the plaza. When you come in, you know, that inside, always check and measure that inside primary groove on those steer tires. You know, those the trucks are becoming more aerodynamic, and they're starting to cover up more and more of that tire. So it's really hard to get in there and see, even with the flashlight. So whenever you're doing your pre-trip, make sure you pop your hood. Look at that inside shoulder. We see a lot of that. Anytime you see that outer line, that decoupling groove is what we call that, where it's completely worn. Your next step is you're going to start seeing some discoloration where that rubber starts changing colors. After that, the belt starts getting exposed. Once that belt gets exposed, it's illegal, right? They're going to out of service you. So keep a close eye there. Our next most common issue we find in the plaza is cuts and exposed belts. Right now, if you have Bridgestone drive tires on your truck, you know, if you're not sure what drive tires you have on your truck, get out and look. You know, when you walk up to your tires, anytime you walk by your tire, you should be looking in those tread grooves for nails, bolts, cuts, injuries. But right here, specifically on these Bridgestone drive tires, the outer widest groove on those tires, we're starting to see some belts, some deep cuts. So look at those tires really closely. Make sure you don't have any belts exposed. If you do, call your road assist advisor like you wouldn't normally. But we'll need to get those back to the terminal. We'll get those covered for you. You know, they're paying for us. They're covering these under warranty. But we haven't gotten a solution or long-term, you know, results on their testing and what's going to come back. But keep a close eye on those. Look for any cuts, steel, nails. That's going to get you shut down. What they're going to be looking on this DOT blitz is low tread depth. So steer tires, 430 seconds or better. Trailers and drives, 230 seconds or better. Okay. Air leaks, flat tires, belts, material, casings probably exposed, just like I'm showing there. And that's May 13th through the 15th. So be ready for that. I'm going to pass it off here to Ron. He has a few things he wants to cover as well.
Morning, all. Just a few quick things today since it's a pretty tight schedule, but based on questions I've gotten from drivers in the past, I just wanted to talk about two things. I've got a couple of slides, I think. So the first one, the vehicles that you have today, the Freightliners with the DD15, one question drivers often have is there something wrong with my tractor because at an idle or low RPM, the oil pressure gauge needle doesn't move at all. In the past, of course, you could blip the throttle a little bit, you'd see that oil pressure go up, that type of thing, and you don't really see that today. Know that this is intentional. We are, in fact, actually, I say we, Detroit is actually locking that at a certain point in idle. It's because with this new engine, we're trying to reduce parasitic losses. So you can imagine components just sitting there churning in oil all the time takes horsepower, which decreases fuel economy. So as one of the enhancements they made to the Gen 5 engine that you have now, they only oil components when they really need it. And in an idle, there's not much load, so you can really reduce how much oil is being circulated through the engine. Well, if we showed you the real oil pressure, you'd panic because you'd see that needle bouncing off the bottom often. It's perfectly fine. You've had these things for, gosh, 8 years now, I think. You're not seeing catastrophic engine failures, so there's no issue with it. But a good driver is in the habit of watching the oil pressure because it's a good indicator of a problem. So if you see it being steady, It's intentional. Don't even worry about it. It's on purpose. Second quick thing I wanted to chat with you about is the overspeed. You'll occasionally see as you're going down a hill, especially in cruise control, or maybe you're using exhaust brakes and in the high setting at the very bottom of the stock switch position, you'll potentially get this yellow warning about 2,300 RPM. Don't panic when that happens. I've had many drivers in training sessions. They see that, they're immediately upshifting. Now, do what makes you comfortable, okay? I'm not going to tell you how to drive your tractor because I'm not a driver. But what I will tell you is these engines are designed to run at those kinds of RPMs all day long. If you could find a big enough hill, you could go down the thing at 2,450 RPM, not hurt a thing. You don't want to get to 2,500. And that's why this yellow caution comes up. So if that pops up, hopefully it catches your attention, you can then clear it. It's just trying to make sure that you're aware that you may be picking up speed faster than you want. You don't want to go to 2,500. At 2,500, you're going to get a check engine light. It's going to have to go probably to the dealer or to one of the Detroit authorized facilities because they're going to have to inspect it and figure out what was either bent or broken because there will be almost certainly some damage at that point. But don't fear the 2,300. We used to see a lot of these 2,500 and beyond, a lot of engines, grenading because we would not automatically shift to a higher gear when you get to higher RPMs. That shift strategy was changed about 6 years ago. So today, the only time I usually see issues with engine damage from too high of RPM is if a driver is in an area they're not familiar with, they realize they're getting a little too much speed, and they go from the top position of the stock switch all the way to the bottom and go to full jakes from no jakes at all. If you happen to be unlucky and the transmission was just getting ready to upshift and you did that, it's going to drop down a couple of gears. It's shooting for 2,200 RPM, but at that point you can sometimes get the red. So be cautious, know what the terrain looks like, and go through stages if you're manually using the exhaust brakes. Descent control, a feature I want to talk to you guys about next time, is a great feature that'll help you with this and makes your life way easier on descents. But spoiler, so they'll invite me up here again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Ron will be here with us after the meeting, and we also have all of our vendors back there. So if you have any questions about your specific piece of equipment, we have one question here in the back.
Just a quick question on the idle situation. I remember, I guess the general procedure, let's say you got to idle the truck overnight. You don't want to do that, but there's sometimes it's so cold, you should do that. Because, the APU is just not going to heat the cab. Do you need to use the, the idle, increase the idle speed on the engine for that, or does it matter?
It should automatically do it for you. So we do have a feature built in called Auto Elevate, which will intentionally increase the engine RPM to make sure you're burning off carbon and stuff so you don't end up with those buildups. So you shouldn't have to do anything manually.
All right, looks like we're running out of time. If you have any other questions, we'll be over here in the back. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate you. We're here to make you successful. So.
Thank you, Ron and Doug. Ron's with the Premier Truck Group, so that's our Freightliners. That's what he was referring to. I don't know if that was said or not, but you got a Freightliner. Our in-house guys, Dennis here, but if you need to get a hold of Ron, he's available too. Great resource to have all those guys, and that includes for all of our vendors. International Freight, Peterbilt, whatever you may have. We got an in-house person. If you have questions, that's what makes Prime a little bit different than us. It makes us better, I think, because you can go to them and they'll help you out too, as well as your road assist person. So
they'll answer the questions, they'll answer the call. I've used this example before up here. I'm standing outside of a courthouse needing to answer some pretty tough questions, and it was Ron who really got me the answers that I needed pretty quick. So I really appreciate Ron and all of our vendors for being here with us and taking care of us.
Yeah, that's great. So let's move on. Let's talk about fuel, shall we?
Let's do it.
So we got Sam Messick and Devin coming up here. Sam and Devin, both of them are gurus on this fuel and keeping track of the pricing and negotiations and trying to help our drivers out. So good morning, guys. And Sam, I know you're happy because you still got some Canadian teams in the playoffs.
Yes, we are. The Oilers had a big win last night. No, we just wanted to give you a couple updates on things. I'll let Devin get started off. It's fuel bid season, so we're busy working some deals. So Devin, you want to give everybody an update?
Yeah, when Sam talks about being busy working some deals, I was just in a meeting with Sam, with Dan Payton, who some of you guys probably know.
He's probably watching, so be careful what we say.
Yeah, and let me tell you, Sam is passionate and he's fired up about getting every last penny possible, leaving absolutely nothing on the table for these upcoming bids that we're having. We know that you guys all prefer Love's, and you guys have been very happy with the service that they provided. But we will say that we did have a meeting with Pilot earlier this week, and we're pretty excited about the position that Pilot's in. They have a new leadership group who seems to be some real go-getters and, really committed to providing a level of service that you guys will all be happy with. And as you guys well know, we need a good pilot in place to kind of keep Love's on their toes and make sure that, we're getting the best deals out there. Same way with TA, so we're meeting with all them, talking to all them, and Sam and I both, but probably 99% Sam are really going to battle to get every last discount, every last penny of discount that we can. Like I said, leaving nothing out there. We're going to go live with the new deal on July 1st, I believe. So every day between now and then, we're going to keep working on it. We appreciate your guys' feedback on anything regarding those vendors. And
yeah, that's a good point. We always talk about these location ratings in the app and stuff. Every one of these vendors ask for that information during this fuel bid season. And, if you're not rating the bad locations, we lose all ability to leverage that information to get better deals, to help them improve their facilities. That is critical information for us, right, to get. So please, whenever you're in the app, if you have a good experience, bad experience, average experience, get in there, rate those locations. It's on the fuel map. If you click on the location down toward the bottom of the location information, there's star ratings that you can give the locations. That is super helpful to us. But just so everybody's clear, right, this is our over-the-road fuel bid. So it's a huge deal for us. We do it once every 2 years. We go out to all of these vendors, get their best, most competitive price to make sure that you're buying as cheaply and effectively as you possibly can. We try to make sure that we have a competitive advantage that you deserve, right? You drive for a 9,000 trucking company. You should absolutely have a material advantage versus the marketplace. So we're committed to making sure that happens. So expect to see here on July 1st some better diesel deals, better DEF discounts, and the best rewards that these fuel stops have to offer. So yeah, we'll look forward to rolling that out on July 1st.
Yeah, just one more thing about the location ratings too. We want to see those on all vendors. That's fuel, wash, everything. Like Sam said, good, bad experiences. It doesn't do us any good if you only rate the ones that you have great experiences at or, terrible experiences at. We want to see it all. So yeah, please, we encourage all you guys to use that feature as often as possible.
Very helpful. The only other thing I was going to mention, you've probably seen maybe have seen some word on the street about fuel shortages in Kansas, up in Steve's stomping ground. So there are some fuel shortages right now in Kansas. It's the time of the year where, in the winter, there's a winter blend of fuel, and in the summer they switch to what is a higher biodiesel blend of fuel. So you're seeing some shortages because there's some switching in the actual refiners and the refineries as far as the type of fuel that they're producing, blending the fuel. You've got some refineries in the Midwest that are down for maintenance, which is just normal. It's just there's a lot of stuff that's compounded into what is now a little bit of a shortage in the Kansas area. So keep that in mind. Make sure, if you're going into Kansas for the next couple of days, they expect it to last for the next 7 to 10 days. Maybe try to avoid getting fuel in Kansas unless you absolutely need to. You might just run the risk of getting to a location that's out. You might have to wait several hours for a delivery to get there. So not something that will be systematic across the country, but definitely something to be aware of. Any questions for us while we're up here? Yeah, question right over there.
I've noticed that most pilots, you have to pay to park overnight. And I was wondering if in your negotiations, you might be able to work some deal out on that for prime drivers.
Yeah, we definitely, that's a good thing for us to talk to them about. Absolutely. Yeah. We're not big fans of paid parking, obviously, but if they got it and we need it, we'll definitely address that with them. Right, obviously our goal is to do a deal with Love's, right? We got to make sure they're giving you the right kind of deal, but if we need to do something with Pilot, that'll be part of it. Good feedback. Anybody else? Yep.
Basically, it's just a bit of information. Ocalville Road Ranger probably has one of the cheapest or most inexpensive. They only have one pump working.
In Ocalville? Okay.
Yeah. And so you have like 15.
It's stacked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll address that with them. We'll just take it out of the network until they get that fixed. Anybody else? Anything else? Thanks for the feedback. All right. I think that's it, Dennis. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Devin. Thanks, Sam.
Great information again, man.
Great questions, great comments. Appreciate you guys tuning in, chiming in. Let's keep on rolling for safety.
Let's go. So this past week, I see this morning we just had Jonathan out in Salt Lake. So reason is we got Mr. Justin Walker here in Springfield this week. So I'd like to bring Justin up. Justin's going to go over our inspections since we had him do the inspections this week. So good morning, Justin, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for having me here this week. And hello, everyone in Salt Lake City. I'll be back next week out there to help out there. So this week we had 154 total inspections. 109 of those were clean. So that's a 71% clean rate on there. So just a little fact, Dennis has been wanting to raise that up here the last couple of weeks. If we had 15 more clean inspections, we would have been at 80%. So major things that happened this week were overweight on the axles. So just make sure you take a little bit of time, scale that out, make sure we're safe, make sure we're legal, and then that would bump us up to 80%.
We can do it. Let's do it. Hey, Justin, appreciate you chiming in. Anything else? You said see some overweights. I didn't see any cell phones.
No cell phones, no seat belts, a couple of speeding tickets. So watch out on those construction zones out there, especially in the summer. Construction is definitely ramping up with that warmer weather. So
excellent. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you being here. So in addition to some of those overweights, no seatbelts, no cell phones, I did see, and she may have to correct me, I think I saw 4 hours of service violations. So I'm going to ask Hannah Dixon from our law department, come on up. For a second, I thought you escaped.
She thought about it, I think.
Good morning, Hannah. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you? All right. Good morning, everybody. So I just wanted to come up today and talk about some things. So we've got the Blitz coming up. I know it was talked about, and it was also talked about at the meeting last week as well. Some of the things that they're going to be looking for during the Blitz, we've got the electronic logging device tampering. So this would be driving while not logged in, and improper edits, false edits, ghost driving. So claiming a co-driver when there is no co-driver present and driving on their logs, improper use of PC and other special driving categories, and then improper use of other exceptions, including adverse driving conditions, and recording off-duty time while performing work. So anytime that you are on duty working, you have to be logging on duty. So just make sure you're hitting those points. I do have some flyers. If you want to grab those, you can keep those with you, know what to expect. Like I said, just make sure you're logging your on-duty time, your pre-trip, post-trip inspections, getting everything logged and logging where you're supposed to be at that particular time. And anything else? Any questions?
Any questions? Straightforward to the point. Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate you being with us this morning. Thomas said it earlier, just do the job the right way. He touched on logs a little bit. Hey, man, it's a couple buttons you got to push, but you got to know which ones to push. And I know there's been a little bit of a change since you had to dump your Qualcomm, and now you've got this Geotab tablet in the truck. So, just make sure that you're educated, you know how to use it. If you have questions, the law department is located right outside of driver lineup in the Plaza building. You can physically take your tablet in there and say, hey, how do I do whatever you need to do, and they can help you out.
And that includes, too, how to send officer your E-rods, your electronic logs, and they'll show you all that. But, this 72-hour Blitz, this is a time for us to shine, Dennis. Usually we do really well on inspection numbers and clean ones, and, just be prepared. They're looking, they've given you the answers to the test. They're looking at major 2 things, tires and hours of service. But when you pull in, obviously, if you have a light out or you have a marker light out, they're going to write you for it. I mean, they're going to look at other things too as well. But yeah, they are focusing a little bit more closely on hours of service and tires. But you're going to see more scales open during this 72-hour blitz. You're going to see them open at night, maybe early morning, and they're getting their officers up to do this. But it's a blitz, and we do very well on this. And I just want to encourage everybody, just make sure you dot your I's, cross your T's, you're ready to go. And your truck looks nice, and they get that level 3. They're just going to look at your hours of service. If it's clean, man, we pay you $100 for an independent contractor. You can make on that. Company drivers get 25. That's fine, man. That's extra money to your pocket, and that's what we like doing. So, but you got to be able to perform, Dennis, right?
Sure. So at these meetings, Dave and I toward the end usually pick kind of one little thing that we talk about, safety wise. But, it's been a comprehensive safety meeting. We talked about health and wellness. We talked about compliance. Now we're going to talk about some other things that kind of keep you safe, and the fact is we live in a litigious society, and sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where we've got to defend ourselves and sometimes defend our drivers and our actions. We don't expect for every driver to be perfect. We know you're going to make some mistakes, but what we ask for is for you not to exacerbate those mistakes by sharing it with the world. All right. And as private as you think your accounts are, and as private as you think these groups are, and as private as you think, this thing is, any teenager with a computer can go and find every single thing about you the second you post it. All right. It's not a secret. We'll pull up a video here that we saw on social media this week.
Were you in it? The video? Oh.
Yes, I'm a drama queen, but not by choice. It's genetic.
Why y'all not laughing? That's funny. That's extremely funny. All right. And I purposely wore the same shirt that I had on in that video, but these are some of the things that we see. Hey, keep posting it. We like to laugh too. But this was posted in a private group. So, and of course, I didn't catch it, but 75 of my friends texted it to me the day it came out. So they were able to find it pretty quick. So it's just an example that, hey, if you see something out there that's cool and you pick up that cell phone when you know you're not supposed to be doing it and you record it, just a reminder, don't do that. But then again, don't exasperate it by posting that video on Facebook, because it potentially could come back to haunt you 3, 4, 5 years later. So great meeting, Dave. Appreciate you and the team putting this together. I think we covered the waterfront so well. We talked about health and wellness. We talked about maintenance. We talked about safety. We talked about compliance. I think we hit it all today. Great job. Appreciate Mitch and Clayton for helping us out on these meetings this week and every week. We've got Richard and Brienne over here to my right. If you have any technology related questions, they can obviously come and answer all those questions that Dave and I would have no clue how to answer. And of course, I purposely wore this shirt, one, because it's red, and two, because that was the same one I had on this video. But the red is the part that stands out. We are a company that we absolutely revere our folks that have served in uniform, that defend our freedom. So if you are a member of the armed forces, if you're a veteran of the United States military, if you will stand for just a second and give us the opportunity to honor you. I'm ask Steve Wutke to come on up.
Thank you very much, Dennis. I appreciate it.
Good morning, sir.
I failed to wear the red today, but my heart's with them all. So thank you all very much for what you do. Just a couple of things on the sales side. Last week, we did 2,100 more loads on the reefer side than we did the same week last year. So the point here is business is improving. Also, I'll tell you, we're running about 135 fewer trucks this year than we did the same week last year. So, we're getting the load count right. We're seeing some success. We're getting some of these bids coming in that we've participated in and have been successful. So I think it's a great time to get out there and run, particularly this next week. And you know why? Because a bunch of these guys aren't going to be legal and they're going to stay home. And there is going to be a lot of freight out there that we don't generally handle because these guys can't run legal. They can't pass the inspection. So I suggest, and I know everybody wants to get home around Easter, or not Easter, but Mother's Day. But here, do this. You only have it one specific day annually to praise your mother. You should do it every day, but a call, flowers, just any kind of communication with your mom, please do it on Sunday, whether you're here, whether you're running, whatever, because it's very, very meaningful. Robert and I can tell you, after you lose your mom, you're going to wish that you would have done that more often. So just think about that. And those of you that are running through Sunday and next week, thank you very much for doing it. Paul, that is a great example of safety. And Paul didn't really mean if you want to argue with him. What he meant was if you want to talk to him about it, that's fine. He's a little defensive. He likes to argue. He calls it arguing, but that's just a family thing. So Paul, well done. Our safety people, terrific job. I'm going to bring up the president of our company here, Darrell Hopkins. I'm sure he's got some very good words of wisdom for you all. Thank you for what you do. Please be safe. Business. So hang in there with us. Thank you very much. Thanks, Darrell.
Paul's the only one that can close out that way. But so I like something Thomas said a minute ago. I'm not sure I like it, but I agree with it. And that is, we're going to do some things you don't like. We're going to limit the speed of the truck. We're going to put cameras in the truck. For some of you, you're going to have to get a sleep study. But all these things are done for one simple reason. This is a safety meeting. We care about you, your safety. We care about everybody else on the highway. And we're going to operate as the safest trucking company in the nation. That's our mission, because that's what really matters is lives. So we're going to do some things you don't like. We don't apologize for those things. We do them because we think they're the right thing to do. And we hope that you appreciate that at some point if you don't today. But anyway, gosh, and to Paul's comment, if you want to argue about it, come on. Listen, other than that, I just want to say we're super thrilled that you guys have chosen our company, and that the guys that have been here for a long time, like Wayne and others, and Thomas, we appreciate you more every single day. You guys, you know, you do everything. You cover the loads, you do it safely, you do it efficiently. Your service is fantastic, and it's why our company's so successful. So thank you very, very much.
Darrell, let me just say one other thing about what Sam presented. Look, don't cop an attitude about Kansas. It's a great state. So just fly on through there. And I mean, I'm a Kansan. It isn't going to change. So it's a great place. Get fuel and keep moving, okay? Thanks, Sam. Robert, cheers, man.
Thanks. I just had to get in here and shoulder my way in, because when you guys start rambling on, it could be all day. Thomas, you know what I'm talking about. By the way, Thomas, stand up. ATA Driver of the Year right here. I'm talking about all drivers. Right there is the man. He does it. He does it right. He's done it for years. And we're so proud of you, Thomas. Proud to be associated with you. You're the real deal. You can believe him. Some of these guys sit over here in the corner and, you know, they're complaining about this and that. Well, if you want the straight skinny, talk to Thomas. He'll tell you. He'll tell you what it's really all about. I mean, the good and the bad. He'll tell you. Higgins, 45 years. Really? Man, 44? I didn't think I could put up with you for 45, but 44 I can handle. I might not make 45, but you got 44 in, and he's very knowledgeable. He's a dandy too. He does like to talk. He likes to argue. He likes to debate me, you know, and he's somewhat critical usually. Say, Robert, you don't know what you're talking about. Remember, I'm still your boss. I know Darrell's the president now, but I'm still your boss. I got some influence. Anyway, folks, it's good to see you all. We appreciate you so much. I mean that. I mean, the very least that we owe you is respect. Respect for what you do, the sacrifices you make, keep this country moving. And you all do it very well and do it safely. And that's worthy of respect. So thank you. God bless you, and please be safe.